Hello everyone, this is Ashley Tucker. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to be creating a winter scene doing some stenciling and some masking. I started with this simple blend oval stencil from Brutus Monroe. Now the really cool thing about this stencil set is it comes with two pieces, the oval and then there's the frame that the oval was cut out of. So I taped down a piece of Nina Solar White cardstock to a board, and then I took the frame with the oval in the center and I taped that over the top with the oval in the center of my paper. I then took 4 pieces of masking paper and I cut them into little hill shapes and I placed them along the bottom half of the oval. I'm going to be making another wintry scene today. I've been doing a lot of really snowy, hilly winter scenes lately, and I had to do another one. When I saw this stencil, I had an idea, and I just had to do it. So once I finished placing all of these pieces of masking paper, I'm left with a small area that isn't covered up, and I'm going to create a sky there with some Distress Oxide inks. For my sky, I used the colors Cracked Pistachio, Tumbled Glass, Salty Ocean, Faded Jeans, and Black Soot. While I do the blending, I thought I'd take a moment to talk about the computer issues that I had at the end of last week. As you know, I didn't do a video last Friday because my computer stopped working. So I was playing a video game on my computer with my son. As you might know, I'm a big gamer, and in the middle of the game, my computer goes black and everything shut off. I tried to turn my computer back on, and it happened again within a minute. My husband looked at it and he thought that it was probably the power supply, which made sense because it kind of smelled funny, like melting plastic. So we ordered a new one and my husband put it in over the weekend, and my computer's working now, so I should be able to get back to my regular schedule for videos. Anyways, after I finished blending the sky, I started removing the pieces of masking paper one at a time, and after I removed a piece, I would do a little bit of blending on the bottom of it to create some shadow. The colors that I used to create the shadows for my snow-covered hills are Tumbled Glass and Faded Jeans, and I used a very light hand when I was doing the blending because I wanted very soft and faded edges. After that, I removed the frame stencil, and then I placed the oval stencil over my scene, and then I took this snowflake stencil from Brutus Monroe and placed it carefully over the top of that stencil, trying very hard not to move it because I didn't adhere it with anything. I used a palette knife to spread some Moonstone Glimmer Paste from Nouveau over the top of that stencil. When I first started spreading the paste, I was very careful, and I actually used my fingers to hold down the middle of the stencil where that oval is so that it wouldn't move around. Once I finished smoothing out the paste, making sure that everything was filled in, I removed the stencil. I used some tweezers to carefully lift that oval stencil and to lift my paper off of my work surface. I used my finger to smooth out the paste that's along the edges of the cardstock. I made sure to clean off my stencil, my palette knife, and my work surface really quickly with some warm water. For the sentiment, I used the Holiday Helpers stamp set from Lawn Fawn. I used the stamp which says Merry Christmas, and I stamped it onto some Gina K in the Navy cardstock with Versamark ink. I did prep that paper with my powder tool before starting so that I could emboss and not have any issues, and I embossed that with Alabaster White embossing powder from Brutus Monroe. Next, I decided to add some trees to my scene using some Copic markers. Now, just so you know, I did set this paper aside for quite a while so that that glimmer paste would have some time to dry. Now, it's a little bit difficult to see me drawing these trees, but I'll try to explain how I draw them. So first I draw a line for the trunk, and then I draw some curved lines down each side. To demonstrate that a little bit better for you guys, I drew a very large tree on this piece of scrap paper. So I draw my line, and then I draw my curved lines down each side. Now, because this tree is larger, it isn't going to look exactly like the smaller trees because the marker can't quite fill in the areas as much, but I hope you get the idea. Next, I took my white gel pen and I added some stars to the sky. It was a little bit difficult to draw on the Distress Oxide ink at first, but I actually just drew a little bit on the tip of my finger to get the ink flowing, and then it was much easier. I drew a few twinkling stars with some lines, and then the rest of them are just dots. I made sure to have less stars towards the horizon, and the stars are more concentrated at the top because I think that's a little bit more realistic. Next, I took that whole panel and I popped it up onto a white card base with some foam tape. And as you can see, that panel is slightly smaller than my A2 size card base so that there's a nice white border around the edge. I wanted to make my pine trees just a little bit darker, so I took a really dark gray marker and I added that to the trees, and then I blended it in with the original color. I took the sentiment that I created and I cut it into 2 strips, and then I popped those strips up onto my scene with some foam tape. For the finishing touches on my card, I took my Wink of Stella glitter brush and I added some sparkle to the sentiment, and then I also went over the tops of my hills so that the snow would look nice and sparkly. And here's a closer look at the card so that you can see all of the sparkle and the detail on that glimmer paste in the background. Thank you for watching today. I hope you really enjoyed this winter scene that I created using some masking and some stencils. All of the products that I used for today's card can be found in the description down below. If you enjoyed watching and you have not subscribed to my channel yet, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button so that you can see all of my future videos. I'm going to be back with a new video on Wednesday. Again, thank you for watching. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a good day today.